Would you believe that? No, because it's too complex to believe that it came by itself. It cannot come by itself. There's got to be an engineer, a manufacturer, or Boeing company who created the machine. Now, these are little things compared to the whole of the universe that you see in front of you. The night, the day, the variation of the wind, the sun, the moon, the sundial, the air, the gamma ray, the mega ray, and so many rays that are moving at the speed that we can't even quantify. That alone is a proof by itself that the earth did not just come by itself, as they say. There's got to be someone pushing and holding its forelog for it to function the way it's functioning. Give you example. The sun is situated 93 million miles exactly, no more, no less. Why 93? If the sun is 93.5 million miles away from the earth, life on earth will be unbearable. You can't live well. And if the sun is a little further than 93 million miles, we would be so very cold that we will freeze. If the sun is 93.800% away from its position, those living in Scandinavia, Sweden, Denmark, Finland, they will sink because the iceberg will be sinking if the sun is a little bit lower than 93%. If the sun is even lower, is even higher, our skin will be cooking because of the closeness of the sun. It takes the sun 8 seconds for its ray to penetrate into so many atmosphere and come to earth. Science or intellectuals are also saying that the earth is the only planet that have all the attributes that makes it possible for human beings to strive. No any other planet have the attribute that the earth has. No planet. As a matter of fact, scientists have never landed on any planet. They only landed on Earth. They never landed on any planet beside the Earth. The moon is not a planet. It is a satellite. The moon is a satellite, 840 million miles away from the Earth. Without the moon, you can glide in the ocean. The ship cannot glide. The fish that are in the ocean cannot glide without the moon. The moon is, the magnetic field of the moon is making it such that the fishes can move and swing along. If the moon is not there, they will be stagnant. They can't move because there will be no push from the gamma ray that is causing it to churn. Clearly, no chance will create that. There's got to be someone that is moving and shaking things for it to exist the way it is existing. That is what Allah said. إِنَّ فِي خَلْقِ السَّمَاوَاتِ وَالْأَرْضِ واختلاف الليل والنهار لآيات لأولي الألباب الذين يذكرون الله قياما وقعودا وعلى جنوبهم ويتفكرون في خلق السماوات والأرض ربنا ما خلقت هذا باطلا سبحانك فقنا عذاب النار. Most certainly, in the creation of the heaven and the earth and the alternation of night and day are indeed signs for those who reflect, for those who think, for those who apply logic into things that is happening in front of them. So the atheist is wrong by saying that the purpose of life has no purpose. That's what they preach, that life is just this. Live as you want. There is a state in America called Vermont. Vermont, they have this, they call Vermont live free and die. They believe in you live free and you die. And that's it. And nothing else will come into perspective the way religion people advocate. This is what they believe. So in other words, life on earth have no meaning. If there is no day of judgment, if there is no purpose in life, who will punish these criminals, these thieves, these hooligans, those who destroy nation, take away, usurp your community, take your life, take everything, come to you, destroy you, kill you, and they have connection on the upper rim of the government using their power to suppress mankind. If there is no day of judgment, who will bring them to account? So if there is no one to bring them account, that means the world have no purpose. You could just do whatever you want. The world have purpose, and the purpose is to worship Allah. We believe that is the purpose that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala have given mankind. We have to worship Allah. But how do you worship Allah? Like I've mentioned earlier, it is not just the 5 daily prayers. It is the pillars. Those are the pillars holding the structure of Islam. Sort of like the building. This building, look at the pillar. Without this 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, or 8 pillars, the whole building will fall. So these are the pillars. But what is on top of the pillars? There's so many life, so many things. Even to smile to your brethren is beautiful. There is purpose in life. You can't say that there is no purpose in life, which the atheists are advocating, that we came from some kind of chance. And I'm asking the question, how can chance create such an intricate creation? The speed of light, 186.3 thousand miles per second. That is how fast some planets are moving. We can observe all the planets. We haven't been into all the planets. Just one planet. We are living in only one planet. No human being set foot in any other planet except the moon. Yet they say we have 9 planets. The biggest one of them is which? Jupiter. It's huge. It's the biggest of them all. But the Earth will fit inside Jupiter 1,400 times. Jupiter is a planet. But the Earth will fit in it. And Jupiter will fit inside the Sun many, many times. And the Sun will fit inside galaxy many times. And the galaxy will fit inside, the mega other clusters, which are bigger than the galaxies. Billions and billions and billions times. And all of them are moving at the speed of light, 186.3 thousand miles per second. It's like me going to America and come back 700,000 times in 1 second. How can you go to the United States and come back 700,000 times in 1 second? How can you do that? It is beyond mind thinking. Yet, all these galaxies and quasars and quantums do not crash. They move away swiftly. Billions and billions and billions of them. They don't crash. There's got to be a mind behind it. Something is making them not to crash. Something is making them not to crash. There is a purpose in this life. Look at the earth. We are not just standing. The earth is tilted 25.3 degrees. 25.3 degrees, the world is tilted like this. It's not like this. It's tilted. If it is 25.4 degree, according to, cosmologists, life on earth will be horrible. We will not live perfectly on earth. It's going to be chaos. Why is it that the earth balances itself 25.3 degrees? Why? If it's 25.3 degrees, life on earth is perfect. Why is it that the ray that the sun is emitting, it allows only the good ray from the sun to the earth so that the plants will have photosynthesis. They will create their food. Animals enjoy the grass. We will enjoy the animals. Why is it so perfect? Who set it up that way? That alone by itself proves that there is a God and there is a purpose of life. We can't just live on earth and do whatever we do. In fact, we have no time. There is no time. Why is it that you and I are still alive? We are still alive because our time is not yet. But you always hear such a person have died. this man is dead. They called you and you see on WhatsApp somebody's died. Inna lillahi wa inna. You hear all this time and you begin to wonder, how about you? The reason why is that your time is not up. Their time is up. It could have been you. The obituary could have been you, but it was him. So you kind of feel that I'm not dying. I mean, I'm still around. You know what I'm saying? I'm just going to keep on going. No, this is going to be a time that you're going to be terminated. So we are here to worship Allah. And the worship is what we are doing. What the prophet of old told us to do. All the messengers, they preach the same thing. When I say the same thing, it means the purpose of life is to believe in Allah and know that there's going to be an accountability day, time that Allah will bring everything into perspective. So whatever you do, you have to measure it with time. The time does not belong to you and I. It belongs to Allah. And when it's time, the time, that means, is up. When the time is up, there is no giving back or there's no going back to make some adjustment in the life that you live. This is it. We have no any other time. All the information is given to you and I. In the books, the Torah, the Injil, the Quran, the Suhuf, all the other books, Allah have given us whatever we need. In fact, Allah did not leave us alone. He gave us all these things that I've just mentioned so that our life on earth will be so beautiful. You don't have to say, I don't have no sun, I don't have no food. Does the food belong to you? The mango that you go and grab and you eat, does it belong to you? Where did it come from? The guava that you enjoy, where did it come from? The earth that you walk on. This is stratosphere. The earth that we walk on is called stratosphere. Underneath is ectosphere. That is over 200,000 miles when you go deep. Then we have the mantle crust. Then we have the solid mountain crust. Then we have the soft iron core. Then we have the hard iron core. In the hard iron core is heat. That is what you see the mountain coming out with fire. What do you call that? The volcano. It's coming all the way in the depth of the earth. The hard iron core. So hot, and it spew forth through the mountains. But Allah in His mercy did not allow us to walk on the hard iron core. We walk on the earth. The earth is sort of like a carpet. So we could plant our seed and it will germinate and sprout. And we get the fruit and we enjoy that which Allah have set upon for us too. Allah did not leave us alone in this journey. Allah did not make you a stone. He did not make you a fish or an animal. The number of human beings on earth is what? They say it's close to, 9 billion. But whatever number we have, whatever number the population of mankind on earth is 25 times that of the animals. Yet, you don't see no animal coming to town, coming to Abuja, coming to Wuse 1, Wuse 2 and eat us. We got lion, tiger, hyena. These are ferocious animals. They would come and eat us. But mankind is created so special that Allah did not allow them to just come in. They are powerful, destructive, yet we are the ones that play with them. You go to India today, you find a 6-year-old holding an elephant, asking the elephant to jump. 6-year-old holding the lion, making the lion to jump and do this and that. But you don't find no lion holding the man by the neck and asking him to do a bit. That is the power of the creation of man. Man is the higher being among all Allah's creation. Why? Because look at the angels. They don't sin. لا يعصون الله ما أمره ويفعلون ما يؤمرون. They were created perfect. They don't sin. They don't commit crime. They do exactly what Allah asked them to do. Yet they are the ones that are taking care of us. They are all over us, protecting us. That means man is a force to reckon with in the creation of Allah. So Allah said in the Quran, وَلَقَدْ كَرَّمْنَا بَنِي آدَمَ وَحَمَّلْنَاهُ فِي الْبَرِّ وَالْبَحْرِ وَرَزَقْنَاهُمْ مِنَ الطَّيِّبَاتِ وَفَضَّلْنَاهُمْ عَلَى كَثِيرٍ مِّمَّنْ خَلَقْنَا تَفْضِيلًا. Indeed, Allah is glorifying man. I have indeed created man in the best of mold. I have raised man above all my creation. I protected mankind on land and on sea. In the depth of the ocean, Allah have protected man. You could go in the ocean and plow in deep, get oil, get rubies, and get all this kind of beauty too. That is man. On land, you do so many things. Buildings in Abuja, look at a beautiful architect. That is man. Animals don't do that. In return, Allah also gave us water. He gave us fruit. He gave us the sun and the moon and everything. In return, we have to worship Allah. All the tools were given to mankind. In return, we have to worship Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, so that when we go in with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, we will see the clear perspective. So no one should lie to himself that he's living a free life. If he died, that's it. Like the other guys, what did they say? Rest in peace. If somebody died, they say rest in peace. Rest in peace. Really? What is it that you've done that deserves that you should rest in peace? We know there's going to be a day of judgment, and that day is only timed by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. It will come when we least expect. So mankind have to be careful in the life that we live. There is nothing in this dunya. You know, Isa ibn Maryam, he's about the only prophet that we know today that have no abode. You see, I have my key in my pocket. After this, I'm going to go to my house, open the door, turn the TV on, turn the air conditioner on, and enjoy myself. But Isa ibn Maryam, he never had a room like this is my room. Never in his life. Never in his life. And according to the Mishnah and Talmud, and according to Josephus, Josephus is a historian who lived at the time of Jesus. And he describes some of the ways that he lived and existed. He said he had no house. Anywhere that nightfall, Isa ibn Maryam, that's where he sleeps. At one point in time, Josephus make mention in one of his apologies that Isa ibn Maryam said, the rocks are my pillow, and the ground are my bed, and the moon is my light, and the fruits are my sustenance, and the wealth is in the depth of the ocean, in the depth of the earth. I have everything. And he recorded also in Mishnah that Jesus was known to have one clothing, one trouser, and a long dress. That's it. And a staff. And a calabash around his neck. Around his waist. That's his possession. So in the morning when he rise up, he eat the fruit, and he keep on with the Injil, giving the gospel, calling people to Allah. That's what he does. So one day, Isa ibn Maryam was preaching by the river Jordan. When he get close to the river Jordan, he realized that, his clothes are dirty. So he took off the top mantle. He washed it by the river Jordan, and then he set it up on the rocks. When it dried, he put it back on. Then he took the lower garment. He washed it again. He put it on the rocks. When it dried, he put it on. And he began to walk. As he was walking, he started feeling thirsty and hunger. So he went by the other side of the river Jordan, and he took his calabash and he grabbed some water. Look at this. He grabbed the water. He was about to drink. Then he saw an ordinary man at the other side of the river using his hand to collect the water. Isa ibn Maryam, he threw away the calabash and he fell down in frustration, crying and asking Allah to forgive him. Forgive him what? The calabash. The calabash. Because he was thinking, I'm Isa ibn Maryam. I'm one of the ulul azm, closer to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Yet, I have qadara in this dunya. I have property. Look at this ordinary man with his hand drinking water. Me, I have a calabash, subhanallah. He threw it away. And he fell down in frustration, asking Allah to forgive him for attaching himself in this dunya. Zuhud. They are running away from this dunya. Running away from this dunya. And history in the seerah also mentioned, you know the story. Ibn Khattab, Umar, he came to Muhammad in his presence. When he came, it was so hot that the Messenger of Allah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he kind of leaned back with his clothes up a little bit to his chest and his leg on, the wall. So when Umar entered, he saw everything in Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam's room. He said, Ya Rasulullah, look at your room. It's all sandy. And your staff, and you're safe. Ya Rasulullah, we are on the right track. The Romans, the Byzantians, they're enjoying having beautiful mansion and palace. Can't you pray to Allah to give us sustenance? Right away, the eye of the Rasul turned into red. And he sat down. He said, Umar, are you in doubt on this situation that we are on? Are you in doubt on this situation? If the earth and whatever is in it, would Allah have a little merit like the one wing of a mosquito? Allah will never give, an unbeliever a water to drink. There is nothing here. Whatever you see is Bola. Whatever you see, Mercedes-Benz, you drive and enjoy. Are you going to take it on your bed if you go to sleep? Why don't you take it to your bed? Why wouldn't you bought it half, maybe 10 million, 25 million. Why don't you take it to your bed? Why would you leave it outside? Dogs, lizards, monkeys moving around it. Dogs even pee around it. $500,000 worth of Mercedes-Benz out in the streets. That tells you something. That clearly gives you a perspective. Whatever you own, you're going to leave it. With Allah is the fact, is the truth. So as you are in this dunya, always reflect about death. The Messenger says, sallallahu alaihi wasallam, the best amongst you, the wisest amongst you is he who remembers death. You might have a position. Know that whatever position Allah gave you, it is not you that He gave. He gave it to the community. But it gave you as an amana. And Allah will judge upon it. He will look into it. Whatever leadership you have, whoever you are, if Allah lifted you up within your community, know that you have a responsibility. We shouldn't divert this dunya, waste our time indulging in this dunya, in this dunya, in this dunya. I'm not saying don't gather wealth. Without wealth, we're not going to be able to sustain even Islam. We can't even do da'wah. We need money to travel and do da'wah. Yes, but that is not the end of the matter. We use it for goodness. Don't allow yourself to live this dunya amassing without giving. What proof do you have that after you leave this earth, you are terminated? Your children will lift their hand and they will say, Allahumma rabbi irhamhuma kama rabbayani saghira. Do you have guarantee to that? Do you have guarantee? There's no guarantee, even though they are scholars and everything. Some might be even hoping and praying that you go away so they will enjoy themselves. So as you are in this dunya, make sure that you give. Do the best that you can. Clothe the poor. And Imam Ghazali, in one of his books, the abridged version, Ihya Ulumuddin, he said, Allah will not ask you which community are you from, but He will ask you, how do you live with your community? Allah will not ask you, which tribe are you from? But He will ask you, what is the role you play to propel your tribe into believing Allah? Allah will not ask you, which community did you live? Maitama, Asorok. Allah is not going to ask you whether you live in those places. But He's going to ask you, how did you fare with your community? What did you do to uplift their life? Allah will not ask you how many clothes you have, but He will ask you how many people have you clothed. Allah will not look at the beauty of your face like, I know I look handsome and everything. Don't tell me, I know that. You know what I'm saying? But Allah is not going to ask you, He's not going to ask you, but He'll look at the content of your heart. Imam Ghazali, he said that. He said, Allah will look in the heart. That's what He will look. You must see someone that is nobody according to your standing of, classifying people. But with Allah, He is the greatest. You must see someone sweating with a slippers that is half torn. But the angels are all around him because his heart is pure. His pure heart. Inna akramakum indallah adqakum. The best amongst you is he who have taqwa, fear of Allah. Not the rich man amongst you. The rich might have taqwa too, yes, but the standard is the heart. That is what Allah balanced the equilibrium of whatever life we live in this dunya. So we have to, just like the Hausa is saying, as you chop the tree, look at the side of your axe. As you chop, you look at it. So don't get satiated, don't get submerged in this dunya. If this dunya is all about looking for wherewithal and enjoy yourself and have all this satiation, I would not have lived this and do da'wah. Because I have so many degrees attached to myself, educating myself. My hand is not cut, my sensory is intact, my legs, I can walk. But I realized that there is something beyond this life that we live. This is a perismal life. It's like a smoke. There is nothing. You know Steve Jobs. Steve Jobs, one of the richest men. Tech. He's a tech guy. What did he say when he was lying down sick? He said, I just realized in a flash that all this wealth that I have amassed is nothing when my neighbor is suffering from Alzheimer's disease. He can't pay the bill. Steve Jobs started crying. He said, what is all this thing? What is all this thing in my name? Billions and billions and billions of dollars. Right away, he picked up a phone and he called Bill Gates. He said, Bill, why don't we set up a fund? Bill Gates said to him, you are late because I have said the Bill Gates and him and his wife, I forgot her name, Melinda. He said, we have said that already. And we're busy, man. We're busy. We leave it behind. You want to join the bus? Let's go. Steve Jobs said, I'm going to set mine today because he realized that the end line is not to make the money. Fine, make the money, but give it out. Don't forget those whom you step on before you get to the top. Because you never know when you're coming down. Do good to them. Be nice to them. Let them feel that there is a man amongst them, that if you are not around, they will cry. Let them feel that. If you don't do that, once you go up and the up is not doing right, if you're coming down, man, they're going to drag you down. They're going to kick your butt. So do good to those whom you meet on your way going up, because you never know what will happen to you on your way coming down. That is all the secret. This dunya is a smoke. It's a smoke. We have to understand that Islam is the answer to all the questions that the world is asking. The world is asking big question. The purpose of life. Purpose of life, according to Islam, is to realize that Allah created you and you have to worship Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Because nothing exists by itself without any primal mover. We exist because God exists. The fact that we exist is a proof that God exists. If God did not exist, we wouldn't exist because we couldn't come by ourselves. If we couldn't come by ourselves, that means somebody make us to come. If there is this, somebody might have done that. If there is this, somebody might have done it. Whatever exists at the behest of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in the noble word of kun fayakun. Allah make whatever that exists to exist because He is Allah. He is the one that creates. He is the best of creator. And there is no way out. Allah will judge us in the day of judgment. There's going to be a time. There must be a head. Who is the head of your community, of your house, of your household? The man is the head of the house. Who is the head of the community? Me Ngua or the Sarki Ngua. Who is the head of the states? The governor. Who is the head of the country? The president. Who is the head of ECOWAS? Somebody. Who is the head of United Nations? Somebody. Who is the head of the world? No, it's just equation. It's equation. If you put things together clearly, you will realize that this dunya is but a fleeting dunya. It's like Hollywood. You know Hollywood in America? You see beautiful houses and glamour and gold medals and, the walking areas of the stars and $1 million signing and houses and this and that. That is Hollywood. It's telling you to come. That's the dunya. Come, come. If you come, get it. If you come, get it. Come. That's the dunya. So you keep on pursuing this dunya. At the end, you don't get it. We have millions of people in America that have died. You know, Anthony Bourdain, this guy that traveled all over the world, he eat different food. Anthony Bourdain, he just died 2 years ago. He hanged himself to death. Billionaire, Anthony Bourdain, he traveled all over the world and he eat food from different countries and he eat everything. So he became so famous and he was rich. He had one of the most expensive, palaces in Hollywood Boulevard. Very expensive. But they woke up one morning. They found him. He hanged himself. He hanged himself, Anthony Bourdain. He hanged himself to death in his pocket. They look, they take it out. You know what he said? He said, there is a vacuum in his life. There's an empty space in his life. There is something in his life and he's trying to get that something. He couldn't get it. He's missing something in this life. Therefore, the life is not worth living. So he took up his life. Because there is an empty space. That is the empty space is the fitrah. The natural inborn mechanism that Allah has embedded in each and every human being to realize that Allah exists and is supposed to be worshipped. The way we worship proves that Allah exists. Let's imagine today you go to Sarkin Kano. Sarki Lamido. Imagine you go to him. What would you do? You're going to stand like that and start speaking. You're going to bow down a little bit out of respect. You're not worshiping him, but it's like showing reverence to him. So when you come to pray, you say Allahu Akbar. Why would you go like this? Why would you lift your hand? Why can't you just go Allahu Akbar? There is a wisdom. If you say Allahu Akbar, lifting up your hand, that means you've put everything behind you. Nobody is great but Allah. Your money, your wealth, your position, nothing exists except Allah. So Allahu Akbar, you push everything behind you. Everything, this dunya, and whatever it contains, you push behind you. Allah is the Akbar, He is the greatest. Then you stand to worship Allah. If you stand as a human being, you represent anything that is rooted in the ground. Whatever is rooted, you as a man, you represent and you stand in front of Allah. You say, no, I don't even supposed to stand in front of Allah just like that without no respect. So you bow down. You make ruku. Once you make ruku, you represent all the animals that have four-legged. You become them. You represent them. In other words, you left the human part of you. You've become animal in front of Allah. You are nobody. You say, no. I'm not satisfied. You go all the way down to the ground, identifying your face to the ground, saying, Subhana Rabbiyal A'ala wa bihamdihi. Glory unto you, the Most High. Meanwhile, you are the lowest. You are the lowest in front of Allah, identifying yourself with dust. Because with dust you were created, from it you shall return, and from it, Allah will make, His three things. With it you are created, from it you will return, and from it Allah will raise you up again. So you are telling Allah that you are a dust. If I say Mr. Ibrahim or Mr. Muhammad or this person is a handsome person, what do you look? You look at his face. You don't look at his legs or his hand. You look at his face to see the handsomeness. If I say this young lady, she's beautiful, you look at the face to see if it is true. So this is the face that make computer, that project whatever we are having this dunya. You are telling Allah that with all the power of the memories in your computer, over 100 billion, pathways that is connecting and making information technology in your brain, you put it on the ground, in the soil, identifying Allah, that you are the greatest, Ya Allah, and I'm the lowest. That is worship. In Islam, we have the highest and most beautiful form of worship. The world is looking for you and me to give them the identity that caused them to live in this dunya. So therefore, our purpose in this dunya wallahi, is to worship Allah. With Allah is the highest. He who laughed last, laughed the best. One of the person that I'm working with in the prison system, he said, Mr. Muhammad, your religion is too straightforward, man. He said, our religion, he said, Islam is too straightforward, man. I said, what do you mean? He said, well, you know, it's just too straightforward. What he's trying to say is that there is no gray area. I said, yeah, Islam is black and white. It's black and white. وَمَنْ شَاءَ فَلْيُؤْمِنْ وَمَنْ شَاءَ فَلْيَكْفُرْ. With them, they need, you know, a wavering room so they could do their haram thing. And then Islam is too straight. Say, yeah, it's a Sirat al-Mustaqim. This is it. Either you take it or you leave it. La ikraha fi din. I told him there is no compulsion. My job is to present the facts for you, but there is no compulsion at all. And that is the purpose of life. Let them laugh whatever they want to laugh at the Muslims. There's going to be a time that they're going to be biting and chewing and gnawing their tongue, gnawing their fingers, and that will be late. So whatever they say, we agree that we are Muslims, and our purpose is to worship Allah. And worshiping Allah have so many different faces. Do not leave this dunya until you have satisfied yourself. The Messenger ﷺ, he said, even if you die and you get to realize that you are going to heaven, you will still regret. And the regret is, now you've realized that Allah deserves to be worshipped, you would have worshipped Him even more. Even though you go to heaven, but you'll be like, wow, man, I should have done more worshipping Allah. I should have done too much good. Because now you are seeing the haqqul yaqeen. The truth, reality is right in front of you. That's why we're not coming back. Nobody will go and die and then come back and give their stories. You know, it's not going to happen like that. If it happened like that, that means we're going to believe without any faith. So the purpose of life is to worship Allah, the unseen God, as was given in the Quran and all other books. That is the purpose of life. We are Muslims. We submit our will to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So if you are working, and if you are given an authority, and if you are occupying a position that demand, you know, respect out of the people that Allah has put you, your job is to humble yourself. The messenger humbled himself. All the Sahaba humbled themselves. They were the Amir al-Mu'mineen, yet they humbled themselves. So if Allah gives you a position, you have to be very, very careful. You are about to be taken to responsibility. So once you get that responsibility, that means there is something that Allah wants you in particular to do. Because in the Yawm al-Qiyamah, Allah will not judge you and me the same. Allah will not judge the one with one leg and the one with two legs the same. Because your action will be different. So Allah will judge you based upon your nature. The one with one eye and the one that sees with both eyes, their judgment with Allah is going to be just, is going to be balanced. The one with no eye and no leg is not going to be judged just like you have two legs and two eyes. Your judgment is different. Each and every one of us would be on the pedestal that Allah has set us upon. That's why Allah said, وَلِكُلِّ وُجْهَةٍ هُوَ مُوَلِّهَا. Each and every one of you is moving to some, some destination. Allah has put you on some pedestal. فَاسْتَبِقُوا الْخَيْرَاتِ. Allah said, compete in doing acts of righteousness. Wherever you are, Allah will bring your heart together and you will do acts of righteousness. What we are doing right now is act of righteousness. That is the purpose of life. You sitting down in this masjid, listen to the Imam giving lectures, you are being given a blessing. It is written in your account. As opposed to someone that is somewhere that is not supposed to go, the other side of the place. You are here, they may be the other side doing things that is not consistent with Islam. They get their own reward. They're not getting reward. They're getting sayyah. And you're getting your reward here. So Islam, even if you smile, you get a reward. You take something out of the ground so that nobody will step on it, you get a reward for it. You help an old woman to carry her luggage, you get a reward for it. You say salam to your brother, you get a reward for it. So why do you say assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah? In salat, assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah. Why did you look here? Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah. Why did you look here? What is the wisdom? The wisdom is that if you are in salat, the tashhud, the moment you say assalamu alaikum, you divide yourself you divide the dunya in two. Those on the right part of you, you are giving them salam. Whether it's Germany, it's France, it's Africa, wherever. On your right, you are giving salam. On your left, you say assalamu alaikum. Those on this side of you, you give them salam. So Islam is a continued motion of doing acts of righteousness. If you sleep, you wake up in your sleep, say subhanallah, and you turn around. You turn around, alhamdulillah. Whatever you do, you get sawab. But this is what Allah has given us as Muslims. We have to take it and take it so seriously. We will leave this world, we will be terminated, and Allah will judge upon whatever we do in this dunya. يوم لا ينفع مال ولا بنون إلا من أتى الله بقلب سليم. That day, لا ينفع مال, your richness, whatever you amass, will not come into play. But Imam Tantawi, he said, those riches will come into play if you do good thing with them. Because here they say, لا ينفع مال ولا بنون. Your children, yeah, my children is University of Maiduguri, University of Ibadan, University of this and that. Fine. But Allah said that day, they will not be of beneficial to you at all, except a righteous son that you leave who always lifts his hand and make dua for you. لا ينفع مال ولا بنون إلا من أتى الله بقلب سليم. Except the one that comes to Allah with a sound heart, beautiful heart that gives general amnesty, heart that is not harsh, heart that is so forgiving, heart that is always nourishing, heart that is always thinking about the progression of mankind. That is the heart that Allah will look. Remember we mentioned that Allah always look at the heart, not the clothing. If Allah is looking at the clothing, I don't think I will enter somewhere or you will enter somewhere. Those who are rich, they will put on the best garment and they will go to heaven and leave as those who have patched clothing. But Allah does not look there. He looks in the heart. There's just so many stories that the Messenger had given sallallahu alaihi wasallam in so many hadith that we receive that Allah actually does not look at this all this time. So when the Messenger was leaving this dunya, what did he say? He said, hold on to the Quran. Hold on to the Quran. Don't let it go away from you. Hold on to the Quran and the Sunnah that I've just left for you. These two books, if you hold it tight, you will never go astray. And that is exactly what we should be doing. We are Muslims. We have a job to do. We will know eventually we will be terminated in this dunya. My time is up. I know you might have some questions that you want to ask me. So I'm going to put a stop here. Hadha billahi tawfiq. Wassalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi ta'ala wa barakatuh.
Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Alhamdulillah, we are grateful. I think if we don't stop, you are able to stop by yourself because of the stress and other things. May Allah reward you abundantly and may Allah accept all our ibadah. So if there is any question, we'll be able to take 2, 3.
Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alameen. In my talks I've mentioned, when I was talking about Isa ibn Maryam, I mentioned about the zuhud. It's like to leave this dunya, to leave everything behind this dunya. It don't actually means don't go to work. I don't mean that way. What I'm trying to say, don't attach yourself in this dunya. Don't let it be like there is nothing beside this dunya. Don't let your wealth override you. Don't let your wife that looks so beautiful and glamorous and vociferous and vivacious and scrumptious, don't let her take away you from worshiping Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Don't let your position take you away from that which is necessary, that is worshiping Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So as you worship Allah in this dunya, as you go along, also look back and realize that whatever you amass, whatever the situation, you will leave this dunya. So you start the zuhud by not attaching yourself in this dunya. We have them in Hollywood, we have them in Nollywood, we have them in Bollywood. They have attached themselves thinking that this is the dunya, this is it. But when the time comes, what do they say? فَيَقُولُ رَبِّي لَوْلَا أَخَرْتَنِي إِلَىٰ أَجَلٍ قَرِيبٍ فَأَصَدَّقَ وَأَكُونَ مِنَ الصَّالِحِينَ. Oh Allah, this is the reality. Take me back to the dunya for 1 minute. I will do whatever I can. No. So this is the time that you have to start doing the zuhud. Don't attach yourself too much in this dunya. Because whether you like it or not, there's going to be a time that it will terminate away from you, willingly or unwillingly. You know, basically, that's what I mean, inshallah.
Please, I would like to know the different planets you mentioned. Are they all within one of the seven heavens, or are they independent of the
Right. Okay, the question he was asking is that I've mentioned that there's just so many planets, but we live on Earth. And Earth is just one of the 9 planets within our solar system. Solar system is the 9 planets with the sun in the center. The sun's gravity is the one that pulls them. If the sun stops, we will all begin to fall. The whole planet will begin to fall. We are moving on our axis by virtue of the radiation released by the energy of the sun. And Earth is just one planet. Jupiter is another planet, but we can't live on Jupiter because it's a gaseous planet. It has no atmosphere. You can't live on Jupiter. Earth have all the attributes that we can live upon. They are not in the same, cauldron. They are different. The lowest one maybe is the Earth. Then we have Neptune, we have Venus, we have Mars, and we have other planets. There are so many different, there's so much different. We have Mars, the red planet, and then we have Saturn. They are all different, and their dimension is different. They are on different planes. Some of the planets don't even see the other planet. Some are giant. Some can swallow everything. They are massive, and they don't belong in one, first, second, third heaven. They have completely enmasked the whole celestial, not in one place. They are on different plane because our planet we are in solar system. There is another planet called the galaxy. Galaxy are 100 billion other solar system making one galaxy. The nearest galaxy to the other galaxy is 5.3 light years away. You can't measure this on Earth. The distance between one galaxy to another galaxy is 5.3 light years away. And a light year is 100 okay, I forgot the number. Million miles away. That is, you can't even think. That's why Allah said, وَمَا قَدَّرَ اللَّهُ حَقَّ قَدْرِهِ وَمَا قَدَّرَ اللَّهُ حَقَّ قَدْرِهِ. You can't quantify Allah in His creation. You can't. If you look at Allah, وَمَا قَدَّرَ اللَّهُ حَقَّ قَدْرِهِ. What Allah deserves to be eulogized, you can't, because you don't know Allah. Then Allah said, look, وَالْأَرْض جَمِيعًا قَبْلَتُهُ يَوْمَ الْقِيَامَةِ. Then He said, وَالسَّمَاوَاتِ مَطْوِيَّاتٌ بِيَمِينِهِ. Not yamin wa shimal. بِيَمِينِهِ subhanahu wa ta'ala amma yushrikun. Allah is glorifying Himself. That you can't quantify Him. No matter how much you think you know Allah, وَمَا قَدَّرَ اللَّهُ. He's beyond our conception. You can't quantify Allah. Absolutely not. So the galaxies are different. If I'm doing Islam and science and astronomy, I would have gone deep into details, but suffice it to say, this is just something that it's really sharp. Actually, wasiya is part and parcel of Islam. It is something that is been allowed in Islam. 1/3 of your property. Sometimes there are some people that they don't inherit you. They can't inherit you. And you know they've been with you, they've worked with you for quite a long time. And you know if you die, they're not going to get anything. And you realize the service they ventured onto you. So now you have to do wasiya. It is 1/3 of whatever you amass. If it is more than 1/3, Sharia will not allow it. So 1/3 is allowed for you to give away. But in your case, you are saying that someone died, he wrote a wasiya, that certain amount that, I want it to be disbursed to other people because of maybe a service they rendered unto him. But the children who inherited, him are not, making that wasiya to be, they're trying to nullify it. So is there any way that the authority will force the children to, make the wasiya come into play? In other words, can they be forced by the hands of law, Islamic law, because this is Islamic? Can there be any jurisprudence controlling this wasiya that they should be forced to do it? What we could do, I believe, they would be reprimanded that, look, your dad left this wasiya that, you have to honor it. If you don't honor it, it's going to be a sin. It's going to be sin upon you. In the day of judgment, you're going to pay for it because your dad clearly shows in the wasiyah that such and such money or whatever property should be given into charity or some kind of endowment. And you are refusing to do that. If they refuse to do it, they and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. But if the authority, if the Islamic authority is there, like I don't know if there is that kind of authority here established, rooted in Nigeria, I don't know. Maybe other nations that are so much into the Sharia system, if they could force, or not force, but actually redress the issue, that would be great enough. Otherwise, if they let it go like that, in the Yawm al-Qiyamah, the children are going to regret for not honoring what their father have asked that it should be done with the wasiyah.
Last question.
Right. Absolutely. Yeah, that's absolutely is true. I mean, you can't just, okay, I'm wealth, I'm rich, now I want to take maybe half of my wealth and give it away. The Sharia will not allow that. Just the 1/3. It shouldn't exceed that 1/3 that Allah have mentioned, or the Messenger have clarified so much in most of the hadith that it shouldn't exceed that. If it exceeds that, it becomes a problem because there are some who will inherit that amount. It shouldn't be more than that 1/3. And if he said it should be given, it should be given. And if they don't give, they're going to meet Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and they will account for that in the Yawm al-Qiyamah, inshallah.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah. Please, on behalf of the management of the mosque, we wish to extend our profound gratitude to Sheikh. This lecture is impromptu, just by the way, and we could see how rich it is. Had it been he's prepared for this lecture, at least we can't even stop him. So, and then secondly, Sheikh has to come all the way from United States yearly to come and visit us. And he left a food for thought for us. Knowledge is very important and vital for our growth as an ummah. We've seen what great scholars have done to the cause of Islam worldwide. If not because of time, I wanted to ask him, which will drag us, is a lecture on his own. Islam without sacrifice. It's part of our creation. We're all Muslims. And most of us are kind of dogmatized in this religion. What sacrifice have we made? Because if we look round down, each of the Sahaba you raise, and then compare yourself with him. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala guide and protect us. And may we get the bounty of Islam. Sheikh, we are so grateful. And may Allah returns you to your family safely. Inshallah.
Jazakumullah khair.
The closing dua.
Okay, alhamdulillah, may Allah make it easy for you, definitely, for being here and not wasting your time. But actually, if you are here, that means Allah have counted you among those who are blessed one. May Allah make it easy for you. Whatever job you are doing, we ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to make it plenty. May Allah make sure that your children and your family, Allah glorify them and make it easy for them and bless them for the fact that they are Muslims. May Allah, those of us who are sick, may Allah give us health. Those of us who are health, may Allah give us more health. Those of us who are looking for a job, the young man looking for a job, we ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to make it easy for them and open doors for them to get a job. And those of us who are in traveling, may Allah make our journey so easily. Our fathers and grandfathers that passed away, we ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to have mercy on them and reflect them in their qiyamah. Allah asks that when the time for us to leave this dunya, we live in the state of Islam. اللهم ربنا آتنا في الدنيا حسنة وفي الآخرة حسنة وقنا عذاب النار. اللهم ربنا آتنا من لدنك رحمة وهيئ لنا من أمرنا رشدا. اللهم ربنا فاغفر لنا ولإخواننا الذين سبقونا بالإيمان ولا تجعل في قلوبنا غلا للذين آمنوا ربنا إنك رؤوف رحيم. اللهم يا مجيب دعائنا ولا تكدع رجاءنا بأمة نبينا مولانا يا الله يا رب العرش العظيم. اللهم صل على جميع الأنبياء والمرسلين وعلى كل ملائكة المقربين وعلى عباد الله الصالحين برحمتك يا أرحم الراحمين. سبحان ربك رب العزة عما يصفون والسلام على المرسلين والحمد لله رب العالمين.
Like I announced earlier,